Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a game in the Suzuya for you. Japanese cruiser, tier 7, 750,000 green XP in the store. One of my favorite cruisers in the game. Dangerous, one of the higher damage per minute ships around, and a great moneymaker. Alright, you get a little bit of cash every time you get a hit. So in addition to any green flags, damage, kills, whatever else you're getting, bases captured, those hits can add up pretty quickly over the course of the match. So if you can stay alive, which is the trick, you can usually score pretty well and get some cash while doing it. Neighbors, capture the base mode game here. We got a game that's going to go the distance. It's not going to be looking good for good swaths of the match. But nevertheless, me and the team that remains with me do come back to pull out a win, which is pretty exciting. So first off, we're going to kind of deploy now. Usually with these Japanese cruisers, I like to get a good flow going early. We'll get in range to shoot, but then we want to be kind of, seeing how the play develops, taking some shots, making sure we don't get shot and taken off the match too early. But, we're just kind of setting the tone here. So we're going to be moving forward. Destroyer, where are you at? You said you're ready? Not ready. That's a problem. Destroyers need to be in front of the ships. And so we're kind of left spotting here. Unfortunately, that means we don't really recognize them as early as we would like to. And we're halfway through the turn. We want to be turning away from these guys by the time they shoot us. Two of them targeting us. Ooh, is this going to be a 10-second game? Well, you can see the length of the videos, so we don't get dev struck here. But fairly high chance of doing so. So if you're going to say you're ready to play the game, don't get on your phone while you're waiting and then watch a bunch of TikTok or whatever you're doing. Be ready to play the game. Sure, it happens once in a while, but nevertheless, don't make a habit of it. All right, so we survived that. Lost about 5k. That's about what we've gotten so far, just a little bit over that. So no harm, no foul, really. But we do want to continue to put some space between us. Now, here's the first little piece of criticism watching this back here. I get what I'm trying to do here. These Russian battleships, limited damage control, party charges. So if you can set them on fire a few times early, that can leave them vulnerable as the match goes on. But what you always want to remember when you shoot at someone in this game is, unless they're particularly dense, which again, there's a decent chance that that's the case. But if they're not paying attention, they're not really aware of anything around them, maybe they won't take notice. But you can see the CNOP had no idea we were here. We shot him, hit him a couple times. Did we do any damage? Who knows? But he immediately fires a retaliatory shot, and he's going to start paying attention to us. So, rather than attracting the attention of as many people as possible, take it into consideration. I'm not saying don't ever shoot multiple ships. North Carolina was already taking some damage, getting shot from my team, approaching cover. So there were other factors that pointed to that possibility. But nevertheless, once again, got away with getting shot at by a battleship. Now, this is brilliant here. Take note of this, battleship players. You see what's going on? The battleships are in front of the cruisers. Destroyers are in the rear. Whoops. But those guys, the battleships, they're actually taking shots from the red, keeping some of the pressure off of me. And that's glorious. Very hard to find these days. A lot of the battleships will either back up when the match starts or just kind of sit back there winging shots at max range. They don't want to get anywhere closer than max range. Well, all right, so you're forcing the cruisers to play in front of you. The cruisers do not tank shots. They're designed to not get shot generally. Most of them, certainly a ship like this. So if I'm tanking shots, if I'm spotting for you, if I'm doing that sort of stuff, I'm not going to last very long, and then you're going to complain later, well, my team sucks. They died so early. Well, yeah, it's because you were watching us from the back. You weren't doing your job. So tanking shots is a part of the battleship role. Don't ever forget it, and you can see the difference it makes in a play like this. Those guys were kind of ticked off at me. We're doing some damage, but battleships generally like to shoot other battleships. Easier to hit. Even if they don't know how to aim that well, they might be able to land a shot. So that's a preferred target for a lot of battleship players. And if the battleships are positioned in a more tempting manner than the cruisers are, they're actually going to be tanking those shots. So very good job from these battleships to move forward. And I think that Vanguard in particular is going to have a pretty good game. I think there's 3 guys on this team, if I recall, that get over 2,000 points, and he's going to be one of them. So that's, number one, you're more accurate when you're closer. So, I mean, if you're too far back, you're going to have a hard time dealing that crunching damage that you love as a battleship player, but you're kind of also neglecting that tanking role. This side's looking pretty good at this point in time. If you just freeze the video here, we got 2 destroyers versus 1 spotted. There he is right there. And we've kind of cleared out the side. They got us kiting Suzuya all the way in their base. So he can apply pressure on our team, certainly. But, you know, he's not in a favorable position in terms of map control. And this cruiser, or the destroyer rather, the Jervis on the ropes already. We got him down to about 5,500 health there, looks like. And things are looking good. Now, he does get the Kagero there with the shot, which is a good play for him. But I neglect to kind of let our team finish them off. That ends up not being the right decision. But Friesland, full health, kind of charging into the middle, wanted to apply some pressure. He's trying to help his strong side. You can see they got 3 V2, not counting the Friesland over there in the southwest. And he's saying, okay, I'm going to chime in with the guns, trying to use this high DPM attack that the Friesland has, and try and take those 2 ships out, getting those guys that are all the way in the west. That's a far away position for battleships, getting their attention kind of cleared, and then maybe they would get back in the middle. That's probably the thought process of the Friesland, if there is a thought process going on in his head, which seems like there is in this case. He seems like he's playing relatively intelligently. But you can put a battleship all the way over there, but putting multiple battleships, you always got to remember, you want to, as the match progresses, get towards the middle. The battleship's, strongest position is directly in the center of the map in general. And battleships that take minutes to move across the map, you got to take that into account. So I don't, Bismarck's fairly mobile. I think the other one over there, obviously they're moving fairly well if they're that deep into our spawn. But something to consider. There's a lot of weight over there. There's no bases to contend. The flank is... They're not getting flanking shots. They're just chasing our 2 battleships that remain over there back into our spawn. So just a minor criticism there. Friesland back up. Check out this shot selection. You see the SAP flying over me. And we saw this Amalfi behind me earlier shooting these destroyers. And this is why he's such a key part to this win that's going to be coming up here. Because if he's not shooting these destroyers, well, frankly, we're not going to win the game. So keep an eye on those reddish SAP shells. And keep an eye on the target selection as the game progresses. But I believe he did shoot the Kagero earlier. He's shooting the Friesland, and that's all good stuff. So Friesland's on the loose. They still have their other destroyer on the loose up there, and the battleship that remains in the west. Well, he's kind of retreating from that position. So now the consideration needs to be this. And number one, we're down a ship, so that's a problem. But whenever destroyers kind of have a path, an unimpeded path towards your base, your antennae need to be going up, and you need to start to say to yourself, okay, what do we need to do to counter this? Fortunately, we get spotted here. We do fire in retaliation on the or in response on the Plymouth. We need to be turning away from this guy. Now, even if we're angled against the Plymouth, British light cruiser AP, enhanced penetration angle. So we got to be very, very steeply angled. And if we're going to be getting all these guns on him, he can rip us to shreds with that AP. Plymouth, one of the more dangerous ships in the game, in fact, in terms of damage output. So I don't want to be trading with the Plymouth, certainly, and not with the Bismarck supporting. You can see those torps to the island. Maybe when I launched those, you thought we were launching at the Plymouth. Partially, we're trying to zone that gap, but I was also anticipating that Bismarck, perhaps, I didn't realize he was necessarily backing up, but I thought maybe he'd come aggressively around that island, especially when I got spotted saying to himself, let's go press, let's get this guy out of here, and then maybe those torps would whack us. But he's going to go ahead and change direction there. All right, so once again, we're just kind of resetting the play. Still down a ship, down by about 40 points, 35, whatever it is. So game is pretty tight at this point in time. Keeping that in mind. Turning the ship around once again every time you guys see me play this, or the Megami or something along those lines, we're going to be seeing these ships kind of flip backwards, forwards, and then we're just going to be launching torps. Again, we're going to launch the torps at that gap. There's nothing on the aim indicator that suggests the Plymouth's going towards that gap, the Bismarck, whatever else is over there. But that's what we want to do, because I want to be making a play towards these ships up here, and we want to protect ourselves. Here's an interesting thing here. Now, this is the main problem I have with the Vanguard's game, and he kind of screws up here. On the map, the Suzuya is basically broadside to him. Now, rearward firing torpedo angles. Know your enemy. I think if the Vanguard comes around there more aggressively, he can one-shot that thing close range. Suzuya kind of bouncing off the island and it beginning to turn, and he actually swings the rear of his ship towards the Vanguard enough to get the torpedo angles in play. I'm trying to desperately kill him because I know what he's trying to do here. Vicious whack from the Vanguard. Good shot there, but not enough. So I think he's a little too hesitant there, and ooh boy, that was almost a major problem there. But he does kill the Plymouth. That's a good thing. But in a moment here, we'll see the Plymouth. Dev strikes him in retaliation. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the Vanguard, if he was a little more aggressive in general, probably would have won that and come away alive. Tough to say, though. I wasn't there. I couldn't expect the angle of the ship as closely as he could, of course. But just judging on the map and judging what the Suzuya was trying to do, I think he could have gotten away with it. Spotted, targeted, certainly. Here's a problem. Now, here's a great play for the Friesland to be making. He's got spotting. He's got the Kagero or whatever else is on the loose. We're looking around in desperation. Where is this thing? But he's spotting us. The battleship, not a threat there. The two battleships, in fact, in the west. But the Friesland can tear us to shreds here. Turn away. We're getting out of there. Number one, we're going to flip around, try and get these torps on target here. But we need to get away from the Friesland. Okay, but to get towards them, we would have died by the time we gotten towards them. Because the destroyer that's somewhere, and there are sonar suggests where he is. Check this launch out. Blind fire launch, more or less, but we knew he was going south, and we just kind of led those torps to the right. He shoots, that confirms our suspicion. But getting back to the Friesland, get away from him, get away from him. If we're pushing, we're spotted. He's shooting, and we're dead by the time we get there. So increase the distance. You can see he got bored, was shooting us long range. Switch to a closer range target. All right, so once again, we're spotted. Look at the orange ring. Now, the Friesland outside of the orange ring, our detection range, he might be in there, but he would have had to turn around. He would have had to pursue us heading towards a battleship that's close to him. I don't think so. So I'm assuming the destroyer is squirted to the right of this. And at this point in time, we're just trying to figure out where he is. We're pushing him. Risky play, because if we don't ever find him, the rest of our team might be destroyed by the time we decide, okay, we can't do anything about this, and we turn around. But check this out. The zoning torp actually gets a little bit lucky here, and, well, he's not quite Hegon. I guess it's a Jervis, not a Kagero or whatever I said earlier, but look at that gap. I think I know where that Friesland was. That's kind of dispersion for torpedoes there. Sometimes you can see the torpedoes kind of form a gap just because the ship's, dice roll mandates it. But anyways, we got lucky with the Friesland. Again, if he was running away from us but spotting, it might have been a difficult play. So destroyers, you have the advantage if they don't know exactly where you are. It can be a major problem. The torps and then the gunshot. He thought he was going to get some damage on us. That confirmed his position. But the torpedoes, because we had the sonar on, we could have used the plane as well. That would have given us a clue. So we got lucky there. Problem solved. Now the entire eastern half of the map is now secure, or there's no threat coming from there, certainly. But we got a problem. We got a Amalfi, and we got a Suzuya versus two battleships and a Friesland. Now, I'm looking on the map. Why are you chasing them? I get it. The Kansas is low. You want to put the pressure on there. We're down 90 points. Kill a battleship. We're up 10 points. So Amalfi, good thought process, and he gets them. The criticism there for that play, cruisers do better against battleships almost universally by increasing distance. Battleships do better by cruisers, or against cruisers almost universally by decreasing the distance. All right, so yeah, good aggressive play. Get them off the board, certainly. Not going to criticize them for that, but nitpick. You can sail away from him, keep him spotted, and keep yourself alive more likely, because he did take a little bit of damage there. Bismarck now, he's shooting back at us. And once again, we're going to get some more torpedoes down here. They're going to hit. Are they not? Who knows? Friesland could be anywhere. He might get whacked by him. Bismarck. Are we going to always aim on the indicator? No, because we're just assuming he's kind of pursuing us. So we're going to aim one on there and then one in, as though he turns back towards us, right? Or if he's trying to dodge, that's the play. And you can see, generally, the ship's turning back and forth, so we're going to tighten the spread more towards where he is, or where he physically is currently, than we would if he was expected to turn horizontally. Friesland pops up there, and again, check this target selection out. Certainly we're going to shoot him, but immediately we're also going to see the Amalfis, our red shells, coming in and attacking that Friesland, and that'll be another great example of a shot selection, because if that Friesen gets away, ooh, we got a nice torp hit there. Boom, got him there. How about on the Bismarck? But if he gets away and perhaps this guy kills me or the Amalfi, depending on exactly how the score lies at that point in time, maybe he can sail away and win the game. But we go down there. Game's tied. Oh, but he's on fire. Amalfi hitting him, and he will succeed to take him out here right at the buzzer. So pretty exciting finish. Game contested right to the end. Those are my favorite type of games. And hopefully you enjoyed watching it. That's going to do it for that one, guys. If you did enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.